So Ketor Vrol was the high priest of the Kantus monks and member of the Locust Council. Ketor Vrol was the second known Ketor after Ketor Vrol I, and Vrol served as high priest during the Lambent War. So I'm your host Abz, and just before we start this video, if you can do me a favour and drop a like if you do love the Locust Council, and subscribe and turn on all post notifications so you don't miss another juicy lore video. And yeah, let's dive straight into it. So Ketor Vrol was Queen Myrrah's advisor on all religious matters relating to the Trinity of Worms. And the Trinity of Worms is a polytheistic religion of the Locust Horde based on the Riftworms and their queen. Its adherents believe that the Riftworms are their gods or life givers, as they not only created the tunnel network known as the Hollow, but also created life within the Hollow that led to the eventual creation of the Locust Horde. The Riftworms and their various aspects have been chronicled in the Kantus Scrolls and the Rulers of Nexus Plates. So firstly, I'm going to talk about the Lambent War, in which Ketor Vrol first appeared in the Rise of RAAM comics, and this was his first appearance in Gears of War media. So in the comics, Ketor Vrol took apostate Skorge as his apprentice. He had Skorge pushed to the limits of what he could achieve within the church. By inhaling Imulsion fumes, apostate Skorge was given prophetic visions, and one of these visions were that the Locust Horde would fall if they continued to fight the Lambent and remain in the Hollow. So then Ketor Vrol's apprentice, Skorge, was enlisted into War RAAM's plan to give the Lambent a crushing victory to convince Queen Myrrah to evacuate to the surface. Skorge's visions gave him some direction to return to the Temple of the Trinity and professed his vision of the temple being assaulted by the Lambent to Ketor Vrol. Now, due to Skorge's visions in the first place, he was excommunicated from the church, but when he returned to the temple to profess his thoughts to Ketor Vrol, the Kantus didn't seem to like him and they didn't allow him to enter the Temple of the Trinity. But Ketor Vrol was pleased to see him, and that it was a return Vrol had long foreseen, and of course the Kantus monks would not question Ketor Vrol, the high priest. So Vrol showed Skorge the inner sanctum of the Temple of the Trinity, which it seems like not many had the privilege of seeing. This room had pictures of the 3 Riftworms and many books. These could be older Kantus scrolls and more Locust tablets, which were known as the Rulers of Nexus Plates, and more of Ketor Vrol's research. Ketor Vrol just seems to give me that bookworm sort of vibe. Instead of being on the front lines or doing anything to do with the Locust military, Ketor Vrol would just seem to spend a lot of time in the Temple of the Trinity and the inner sanctum and just work on his research, because he's got so much research there, as you can see. So Vrol said to Skorge that he was forced to banish Skorge by the will of the Kantus, and he brought dishonor to Skorge's name, so consider this reparation for wounds inflicted. Ketor Vrol mentioned the Rift, which was a spiritual plane for those with the knowledge and access. They spoke about Ketor Vrol I's experience of the Rift, where they can reach the Trinity. So this was known through Ketor Vrol's body of work and writings. So it looks like Ketor Vrol's body of work and writing was passed down to Ketor Vrol, and he expanded upon that research. So Skorge stated that while Ketor Vrol's and Vrol's research is fascinating, Skorge has foreseen the fall of the Hollows, that Locust time is up and the Lambent will conquer. Vrol did not believe Skorge's visions at the time of his explanation to the high priest, as Vrol believed that the Hollows would never fall, and that they are their birthright, given by the Trinity of Worms. Vrol stated that Skorge's claims were an insult to the Trinity, and Skorge claimed that the reason he was cast out was because his Kantus brothers were actually afraid of his prophetic gift. But Skorge had failed to convince Ketor Vrol to aid the bloodied vanguard. A horde of Lambent then proceeded to attack the Temple of the Trinity. So Ketor Vrol, he was shocked to see this is actually happening, this is true. So he realized that Skorge was indeed telling the truth about the assault, and he seemed to be devastated that this happened, that Uzelsrak, who was supposed to be the master of war, had not heeded a warning to the Locust. Vrol stated that a Locust Council meeting was needed for the Queen to understand these dire consequences, and that the fate of their kind depends on it. So at the Locust Council, Ketor Vrol spoke on behalf of the validity of Skorge's visions and the tactical approach of War RAAM, that the Hollow will, in fact, fall to the Lambent, and the Locust must colonize the surface as the Trinity lies dormant, because as you know, the 3 Riftworms were dormant at the time, but in the Gears of War timeline it is unknown as to when they actually went dormant, so we don't know that. Now, at some point during the Locust War, Ketor Vrol actually died and was succeeded by his apprentice. who was of course acolyte Skorge, but it is currently unknown as to when he died and when he was succeeded by Skorge. And then of course Skorge became the high priest of the Locust Horde thereafter. Now Ketor Vrol, he was extremely devoted to his religion, the Trinity of Worms, and it was always at the forefront of his mind even when taking decisions. During the Locust Council, Ketor Vrol would often go back and forth with the Locust head scientist Ukon, as Vrol had warned and scorned Ukon for having corrupted the Locust Corpser with machinery. Because as you know, the hollow creatures like the corpses, reavers, etc. were seen as sacred beings that shouldn't be tampered with, as they were given life by the Riftworms who created the hollow. Ukon stated that corrupted machinery was the future of the Locust Horde, that Vrol was stuck in a long dead era, and that once he is gone, the Locust would finally be freed from his antiquated beliefs. So Ukon appeared to be more agnostic or atheist. He didn't seem to believe in the Trinity of Worms religion, and he appeared to believe more in science, so as you can tell, Ukon and Vrol would have had conflicting views very often. Even when War RAAM's assessment of the Lambent War was initially discussed at the Locust Council, Ukon said that every eventuality should be planned for, but Ketor Vrol argued that the Hollows would never fall, that they are a birthright created by the Trinity and evolved into the incubator of the Sires. Also, Ketor Vrol seemed to be even more devoted to his religion than Skorge, as Skorge stated the words "curse the Trinity" after talking to Vrol, so even though Skorge succeeded Vrol after Vrol died, Skorge didn't have the same devotion to the Trinity of Worms as Ketor Vrol or perhaps even Ketor Droke did. But there you have it guys, there's Ketor Vrol explained. So if you did enjoy this video, be sure to drop a like and comment down below what you think of Ketor Vrol and everything discussed in the video, and subscribe if you're new to the channel, and be sure to check out my playlist for more Gears of War lore related content. Hope you guys have a great day, and I'll catch you next time.